to other private companies for business. You see? In fact, that this 29%, most or almost all, the 23 plus 6, that's actually, almost the highest. There's a 30% earlier. So it's definitely, not as good even as from 2006 to 2009. So private-to-private transactions are not improving as far as this is concerned. Right. What would you expect to happen to your net income if corruption were reduced to the level of Singapore? We've used this comparison from the very beginning. We've said, suppose there could be success in fighting corruption such that we would have Singapore-like situation in the Philippines. Would this benefit your company in terms of net income? Would your net income increase, not change, get worse? Right? Now, we've always had, half or a little more than half saying, well, that's going to be good for us. We'll make higher profits if there were less corruption, Singapore-like minimal corruption in the Philippines. Right? You have 1/3 who said, well, still be the same, won't matter to us. And there are a few who said that's not good for us. Maybe they're involved in security industry. Maybe they're accounting firms. I don't know. You can analyze this. Who are these who say that they'll make less income? Lawyers? I'm just guessing. I'm just joking. Right? I haven't studied those things. But let's go back. But what I want to say only is that this makes the point that fighting corruption is good for business, because businessmen themselves say it's going to be good. And then when we ask, and then how much do you think your net income will increase? We get a median reply of 20%. 20% will be your increase in net income. Because the point is that, well, if your net income is going to increase by 20%, then surely you could contribute, a few percent to a anti-corruption kitty, right? Right? And in fact, we do get, these are the median answers of how much they say they're willing to contribute. So I think you should start billing them and calling on them to fulfill their promises, right? Because as a matter of fact, very little is being paid by the enterprises in order to fight corruption. I hope we have that on a slide there, and how much they are willing to pay, how much they're actually spending to fight corruption. Well, or wasn't it there? We hid some slides because we were afraid we wouldn't have little time here. But a great majority don't pay anything at all, don't spend anything at all. We asked them, do you spend some specific amount in your company to fight corruption? Do you contribute to organizations that fight corruption? And the great majority don't give anything at all. Then after that, there are those who spend, maybe less than 10,000 pesos. We will give it all, right? So the contributions actually being made are very, very small. It's I'd say you should get businesses to pay and put their monies where their mouths are. Right. Next, please. Okay, honest business practices. This is another area where we've been monitoring for several years. There are 4 business practices that we ask about. In your line of business, we say, do almost all, or most, or few, or hardly any, or none of the companies do the following? Right? Do they demand receipts for payments when they pay? Do they issue receipts for revenues when they receive? Do they pay taxes honestly? And do they keep only one set of accounts or books? For me, the standard here should be almost all, because these are all required. I would not be satisfied if most are doing these, but you can have your own standards, all right? But I think it's not unfair to demand that almost all, after all, it's not 100% literally, almost all should do these things. Right? Demanding receipts when they pay, 45%. 89% if you say most. Issuing receipts, 32%. That's 1/3. But it will jump to 78% if you say, well, most of them do it. In other words, sometimes. Paying taxes honestly, 1 out of 5 say that we all pay our taxes honestly. But 62% if you say, well, most of us pay taxes honestly. And keeping only one set of books is also about 1 out of 5. And 60% if you say most of us keep one set of books. But I think everyone is supposed to keep one set of books. Everyone is supposed to pay taxes honestly. Everyone is supposed to issue receipts. And everyone is supposed to demand receipts. Right? So this is, I'd say this is very soft, a very soft question. And business is not doing well on this regard. Now, let's look at them one by one. Paying taxes honestly. I don't see any improvement there from the past. Look at the one saying almost all. It's flat. Another one. Right? Another slide, please. Issuing receipts. The lowest bar, almost all issuing receipts. It's very flat. Keeping only one set of accounts. It's very flat. Where's the improvement in honest business practices over time? So this is for the reflection portion. I recall that was in the talk of Mr. Chan, that the first has to be reflection. Demanding receipts. So there's no radical improvement in terms of the practices of the private sector itself. And fighting corruption, I might say, must start at home. But the business climate is very, very good. Right? This is the satisfaction with the national government in promoting a good business climate. 71% say they're satisfied, which is the highest since 2007, and only 12 dissatisfied, and that's a huge net satisfaction with the national government in promoting a good business climate. And expectations are very, very high. There's a slide on that. 16% now saying that business will be excellent, and 58% saying they'll be good, and the two of those, 74%, are the highest since the year 2000. So just look at the dark blue and the light blue together, and you'll see what that has been over there. So to conclude, right? This is the 10th round. This is the largest sample. Right? It's preliminary because we still have some more interviews to complete. Please tell your colleagues to meet their appointments with the interviewers so that we can finish this and submit a final report. Those saying there's a lot of corruption in the public sector is the lowest since the year 2000. Saying that most or all of them in their sector give bribes to win public sector contracts is the lowest since 2000. Those having experienced corruption in their sector in the last 3 months is the lowest since 2006. And comparing the present to the past administration, 71 say it's better, and only 3% say it's worse. It's fantastic unanimity there. Ratings of sincerity have improved for 17 of 20 institutions. And here they are. You know, Office of the President leads them all. And a complete turnaround from bad to excellent. DOH and DTI are very good, but they were already good. DepEd and the Ombudsman made a big jump because between good and neutral, they're still moderate. You know, so that's a very big jump. There are moderates which improved, and there are moderates which are on the way down. The improving ones were the Sandigan Bayan and the DILG and DBM, which were, you might say, 2 grades, if you're talking about grade improvement, 2 grades of improvement. And DOTC from bad, which is a huge jump all the way to moderate. You have moderates which are not as high as before because the city government and the Supreme Court used to rate good as far as businessmen were concerned. You have neutral and improved, the DENR, the House of Reps, and the PNP. The first 2 used to be bad. The PNP used to be poor. In fact, the poor of the PNP was already a big improvement from being bad and very bad long ago. The BIR is no longer very bad. It's just poor. The DPWH is no longer very bad. It's just poor. They skipped bad, by the way, and went all the way to poor. And the LTO went up 1 grade from bad to poor. Now, the COMELEC was already neutral, but it slipped. Right? It slipped to poor, and actually it has never been positive yet in our survey. And the worst is the Bureau of Customs, as usual, but it's still not as bad as before. No, it's right as you have seen. I mean, these are already good-looking trends. They are favorable trends, and there is no more very bad. All right? Whereas we used to have several of them before. Right? Maybe we'll remove the bads in the future. Majorities see corruption case in court going fairly, but slowly, too slowly. Being solicited for a bribe is at a low point of 48%, quote, only. All right? But remember, that's looking at the past, because that was just 60% 2 years before. But the reporting of solicitations is very low. There's less corruption in the private sector, but it's serious and it hasn't improved. Companies say that success in fighting corruption is profitable for them, but they're not helping much to pay the bill. The extent of honest business practices is unsatisfactory and is not improving over time. But we are now at a time when you have very good business prospects, that's what they say, and the executives give credit to the national government in particular for this. That's the general picture. A lot of improvement in the public sector and a lot of improvements needed in the private sector. Right? These are your views, the views of the business community about the state of corruption. Maraming pong salamat.
Thank you, Dr. Mangahas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your speeches. Can we ask you to please stay on stage? The Q&A session will follow after we bring one more speaker up on stage, and that is, let me call up the Honorable Rogelio Singson, the Secretary of Department of Public Works and Highways. It's a change in program. To give you his thoughts, then Q&A afterwards.
I'm just checking if it's there. Mahar, thank you for that reality check. No, I sincerely appreciate it because I think the trend is there.